Things we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next, we're going to move on to a presentation. It's a recognition for Jason Four, one of our police officers, for 5 years of service to the city of Cibolo. Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. Tonight, as I've said in the past, I have the pleasure of recognizing our staff that reach milestones in their years of service. So right now, I'd like to ask Jason Ford to come to the front. I have a letter to read that just recognizes some of the accomplishments and contributions by Jason Ford here. So let me begin. Congratulations. On behalf of everyone at the City of Cibolo, I want to congratulate you on the 5th anniversary of your employment. And I believe your fellow officers and team members have shown up in force. You joined our organization on December 17th, 2018 as a police officer. This year signifies a key milestone in your service, and we would like to celebrate your achievements with you today. We know the growth and success of our organization is dependent on having devoted and capable team members such as you, and we want to recognize the contributions you have made in helping us achieve our goals. You're a valued team member of the police department and of Team Cibolo. You have been instrumental in many ways, including receiving the Life Saving Award in 2018, being a member of the Honor Guard 2019 to 2021, serving on the Meritorious Conduct Board 2019 through 2021, serving as a field training officer 2020 to 2023, participation in the Succession Program from 2020 to 2023, earning your bachelor's degree in January of 2023, being selected by the State Sons of the American Revolution as their Officer of the Year in 2023, being promoted to Patrol Sergeant in 2023, obtaining your Intermediate Peace Officer certification, and serving as Emergency Action Plan Coordinator / First Shift Incident Commander for Cibolo Fest 2023. I'll just stop right there and just say that one thing that Sergeant Ford demonstrates is a commitment to professional development and being his very best. That's a long list of accomplishments in your first 5 years, and that is why we're recognizing you as an example of what we expect from all of our employees, and that is just to be your very best. Your desire to serve exemplifies your commitment to the city's core values, particularly professional development and integrity. To honor your service, we present you. Please know that you're an important member of our team, and your abilities and contributions will be an important part of our continued success. We hope that this award will always remind you of our appreciation for your hard work and dedication. Thank you for everything you have done during these 5 years of service and for your ongoing commitment to our success. We look forward to you growing with the city throughout your career.
And if I might add, Jason is also a heck of a good golfer and has a perfect last name for a golfer. Get your wife up here. Congrats again, Jason. Great job. All right, next up, speaking of the Sons of the American Revolution, we have a presentation from the Sons of the American Revolution. It is championed by Mr. Hightower. Is Mr. Hightower here tonight? Or somebody from the Sons of the American Revolution? Okay, we'll go ahead and postpone this one. They may not be here on time yet. I know there was some traffic on 35, so we'll circle back to that one if they do end up showing up here relatively soon. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 6A, public hearing. The City of Cibolo City Council will conduct a public hearing regarding a proposed amendment to Article 4 zoning regulations, Section 4.7.4.3, Mixed-Use Regional Employment Center MUR District Regulations of the city's Unified Development Code, aka UDC, to allow vehicle towing facilities and vehicle storage in the MUR zoning districts. Ms. Lee.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. So this is the first of several council-directed UDC amendments that you had staff look at, present to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then bring back. So this is the second of 2 public hearings, and then you have an action item for an ordinance for consideration later tonight. Just as a reminder, this is to amend the UDC to allow by right a tow yard within the MUR or the mixed-use regional employment areas. This would be allowed by right with 4 supplemental conditions. Those are the same as what we discussed during the October meeting. That is that the owner or operator of a vehicle storage lot in the MUR zoning district must maintain a permit issued by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation to perform what's called incident management towing. That the lot must be located no closer than 500 feet from any interstate highway. Number 3, that the portion of the lot used to store vehicles would be screened with a fence that is at least 8 feet in height from any public right-of-way. And 4, that the lot may not be used to store any vehicle which contains or is reasonably believed to contain hazardous materials. At its November 15th, 2023 regular meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission did vote 7-0 to recommend this approval to the City Council.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, the time is now 6:39 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please come on up to the microphone and state your name and your address. All right, hearing none, we will close the public hearing. It is 6:39 p.m. Moving on, we have another public hearing tonight. 6B, the City of Cibolo Council will conduct a public hearing regarding a proposed amendment to Article 17 Landscaping Regulations, Section 17.1.J.3.B, to reduce the 15-foot landscape buffer requirements in the Old Town District, where an off-street parking or vehicular use area abuts public right-of-way. Kelsey Lee.
Yes, so this is an amendment that came forth recognizing that the lot conditions and the history of our Old Town District do sometimes need some special regulation and consideration. And so currently within our Unified Development Code, Section 17 does require a 15-foot landscape buffer whenever parking areas such as main streets are our most common one right here in the Old Town District. And so looking at all the properties that are in there, our different staff members evaluated properties up and down Main Street and looked at what is a reasonable distance for that landscape buffer that still meets the requirement or intention of screening, but is also aware and cognizant of the different conditions of those areas. And so the proposal came back at reducing it from 15 feet in depth to a minimum of 5 feet in depth, which would still allow shrubs to be planted for screening. And this would be only within the Old Town Mixed Use District. Any properties that are outside of this district would still be held to the traditional standard. The P&Z did recommend at its November 15th meeting 7-0 to recommend approval of this ordinance.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, the time is now 6:41. We're going to go ahead and open up the public hearing. If anybody has a comment, please come on up. And when you get to the microphone, please, sir, state your name and your address.
So my name's Patrick Jackson. I'm at 508 North Main, and my property is a little unique, but all the property along Main Street, the 15-foot buffer makes it almost impossible to do any sort of parking, driveway, any sort of development. And so I know my situation's unique, but on the broad level, every single person who tries to develop any property along Main Street is going to be coming up here asking for a variance. So I'd much rather get it fixed so that all of this can go smoothly and nicely and be uniformed.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone else want to come and speak on this item? If so, come on up to the microphone. Hey, what's up, bud?
My name is Ron Hendry. I'm the owner of 506 North Main, and I'm also in favor of adding that additional parking or that buffer space, reducing that down so that we can get some additional parking there. And we're looking at transitioning our place into having a couple of food trucks possibly on our place, and so having that additional parking space would be very ideal for us. I think it would help benefit with traffic as well, so I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Anyone else want to speak on this item? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. It is 6:43 p.m. Hearing regarding a proposed amendment to the Article 13 use table to remove a conditional use permit, aka CUP, for a manufactured home from the SF2 single-family residential zoning district. Kelsey Lee.
Yes, so this one is a little bit different from the other items that we heard. There will be no action on an ordinance for this one at tonight's meeting. The reason for that is at the November meeting, the P&Z voted to table this item because they had some additional questions, which I'll get into. And so because they did not make a formal recommendation, there's no ordinance to be voted on tonight. It is as an item again for consideration at tomorrow's planning and zoning meeting. So we anticipate to get clarity, get that formal recommendation then, and then this will come back at your first meeting in January for consideration. But just as to remind everyone on the background of this, this came forward as a request for us to evaluate removing the allowance of a CUP or a conditional use permit that previously would allow a manufactured home within SF2 zoned districts. There were some questions when we sent this to planning and zoning as far as how would it be handled if there were pre-existing manufactured homes on a property, just making sure that there could be some provisions for replacing a home if it were to be damaged with a similar product in there. And the ordinance previously did not explicitly state that, which is one of the reasons why they voted to just table it and get some clarity. We did reach out to the city attorney's office since then, which you can see in your report, that there are provisions within state law already, within the Texas Occupations Code, that does already allow for manufactured homes to be replaced. And so there wouldn't need to be any change to the wording unless the council were to actually only want to limit it to one time being replaced. But as it is right now, a manufactured home can be replaced as needed if it already has a manufactured home on the property. So that was the primary concern with P&Z that they had shared and why they weren't able to take action. We will share this information with them tomorrow when we have planning and zoning. We did share this as far as any public hearings. We did also send out notices to about a little over 1,000 properties. To date, we have received 37 letters in support. We just had a new one come in today, and 36 letters in opposition. So
Pretty tied, yeah. Pretty even, huh? 37, 36.
37, 36. Right? Yes.
So the support outweighs by
it has one more
barely.
as of right
Okay.
now. Yes.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you.
All right, the time is now 6:46 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing for 6C. If anybody wishes to speak on this item, please come to the microphone and state your name and your address. Mrs. Latimer, welcome.
Good evening, Council. I just wanted to address this issue because this conditional use permit for a manufactured home in SF2 single-family zoning district is directly related to a problem that when I was the chairwoman of the Planning and Zoning Commission worked on to try to rectify people that were moving manufactured houses onto their legacy land to provide housing for either a family member or to put their parents in. When we originally were trying to solve this problem as the Planning and Zoning Commission for our county, would not be used in subdivisions. So much of our land that was ag land was just arbitrarily zoned SF2 at the time of being brought into the city. So the land, like mine or like the Hesters, many of the people living south of FM 78, our land was all zoned SF2. And so in order to be allowing them to bring their family members onto their property with a manufactured house, we decided that cupping it would be the best thing. But then the city of Cibolo allowed a cup of a manufactured home in a subdivision. Like, imagine your subdivision and then there's all stick houses and then you put a manufactured home in there. Now, first and foremost, I would like each of you to know that I live in a manufactured home and I am very happy there. But I did not think that I felt that that was deceptive to the person's purchasing in a SF2, which would be a site-built home subdivision. So removing this from this cup, which was done poorly, it was poorly done. I take a humongous amount of responsibility for that error because we were trying to facilitate to the citizens. After the history of learning what happened and that subdivision having an SF2 ruling and then bringing in a manufactured home, I went back and the Texas Constitution allows legacy land or agricultural land a by right, a constitutional right to allow them to subdivide their land for their families. And I do believe that you guys addressed that in a different ordinance. So that is the solution to the problem of what this cup was developed for. Now, if it is your intention to allow manufactured homes in SF2, then you should call it SF2/manufactured housing. You should be specific on what is allowed there, because once a cup is brought in, you will have contiguous by right use, and you will find yourself in probably a similar situation that you are currently in, which is litigation. So my strong suggestion would be to accept that you did accept and provide for those folks on the legacy land to have additional housing or additional subdivision of their legacy land without confusing the issue for other real property purchases within our municipality. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Latimer. All right. The time is now 6:49 p.m. Does anyone else want to speak on this item? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And before I move on to the next item, did anybody walk in the door recently that happens to be with the Sons of the American Revolution? Nope. Okay. All right. They're still not here. Thank you. All right. Moving on to 6D. The City of Cibolo City Council will conduct a public hearing regarding a proposed amendment to Appendix A of the Unified Development Code, aka the UDC Article 20, subdivision regulation to amend certain requirements for final acceptance of public improvements. Ms. Kelsey Lee.
All right, this is my last one for a little bit. So this came about as part of the public preliminary acceptance and then final acceptance of public improvements, particularly for subdivisions. So the proposed amendment is changing it from a minimum of 75% of the lots needing to be developed before petitioning for final acceptance, increasing that to 90% of the developable lots to be developed before petitioning for final acceptance. This would only apply to new subdivisions, so anything would be held to this standard. In discussions with our city engineer and other staff members, and when you ask, well, what does it mean with the lots developed? The 5 conditions that they look for those to be met is that the roof is complete, the sheetrock is installed, masonry is installed, driveway and sidewalk are poured, and that landscaping is installed. So really trying to show that the work on that site is done and you're not going to still have big heavy vehicles coming through after that point. At the P&Z meeting on November 15th, they did vote 7-0 to recommend approval of the ordinance as presented.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, the time is now 6:51 p.m. Does anybody here like to come and speak on this item? If so, come on up to the microphone and state your name and your address. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing for agenda item 6D. Homestead AG. Ms. Huerta.
Yes. And are Philip and Jean Smith. The property is, the applicant property is surrounded by general commercial C4 and mixed-use regional employment center mirror zoning district. Directly north is being used as a homestead with a section of the property zoned as manufactured home residential. The property directly west is within the ETJ and is also used as a homestead. And the surrounding properties hold commercial and industrial uses. The applicant originally requested disannexation, and council offered for the applicant to rezone their property to AG Homestead instead. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the rezone by a 6-1 vote at their November 15th meeting. Notices were published in the Seguin Gazette on October 22nd and on the city website. Letters were sent out to the surrounding to 7 property owners. To date, staff received 2 in favor and 2 in opposition. Public hearings were scheduled on November 15th with P&Z and today with City Council. Approval, disapproval is scheduled for January 9th.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. All right, the time is now 7 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing for 6F. If you're here to speak on this item, please come on up to the microphone and state your name and your address. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. It is 7 o'clock. All right, moving on to agenda item number 7, citizens to be heard. This is the only time during the city council meeting that citizens can address the city council. It is the opportunity for visitors and guests alike to address the city council on any issue to include agenda items. All visitors wishing to speak must fill out the sign-in roster prior to the start of the meeting. The city council may not debate any non-agenda issue, nor may any action be taken on any non-agenda issue at this time. However, the city council may present any factual response to items brought up by citizens. Attorney General Opinion JC 0169, limit of 3 minutes each. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body. Remarks may also be addressed to any individual member of the council, so long as the remarks are 1, about matters of local public concern, and 2, not disruptive to the meeting or threatening to the member or any attendee. Any person violating this policy may be requested to leave the meeting, but no person may be requested to leave or forced to leave the meeting because of the viewpoint expressed. This meeting is live streamed. If anyone would like to make comments on any matters regarding the city of Cibolo or an agenda item and have this item read at the meeting, please email psimmix@cibolotx.gov and vchapman@cibolotx.gov or call 210-566-6111 before 5 p.m. the date of the meeting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our citizens to be heard. The first person is David L. Black, I believe this says. Did I get your name right, David?
I'm sorry, sir?
Mr. Black?
Yes, sir.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Black. And so
Approval of council. I'm not going to need my 3 minutes anymore. I want to.
you want to give it to him? Okay, so
Thank you very much.
okay, so you want to use your 6 minutes if you
Yes,
need
sir.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
right.
Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of the residents in reference to the Hagerville Road Streets and Drainage Project. This is the residents' perspective. And anyway, in your folder, you should have the council briefing, which is what I'm going to speak about tonight. You'll see photos, current photos, and there's also a residents meeting that Mr. Foose directed, and with photos. And as a result of that, we had a news release that was coordinated through Public Affairs Office and approved by the Public Affairs Office. It was released to community impact. And then there's also, at the end, project notifications to the residents by both the city officials and Texas Sterling Company, all which residents appreciate. With that said, thanks for letting me address the council meeting tonight. What I'm about to say should not be taken out of context. It is in no way criticism, but only should be considered kudos along with certain reservations and concerns. All city and construction people have been respectful, courteous, and professional with the residents. Okay. On the Hagerville roads and streets and drainage projects, this is our perspective. Honorable Mayor and City Council members, I'm David Black, resident living at the corner of Country Lane and Hagerville Road. If you recall, I spoke in August on resident issues with the Hagerville Road Street and Drainage Project. The purpose of my address tonight is to bring you up to date, reference the residents' perspective on construction progress. Citizen neighbors involved are those from FM 78 down Hagerville Road to the new bridge. Speaking for residents, we're happy to report that Mr. Foose, Director of Public Works and Capital Projects, called a neighborhood meeting on August 16th to reference concerns over city sales contract agreements with the project. Those issues are now being addressed, and as you may be aware, project construction was delayed for some engineering plans that were being corrected. Some residents' concerns were lack of added driveways, circular driveways, driveway inclines and widths, along with a tree removal, all part of the city sales contract agreements. As construction proceeded, driveway inclines also became an issue, which were drastic in some cases. Residents have now noticed that most concrete drain housings have been significantly elevated to heighten the road level to improve their driveway approaches. However, although on my corner of Country Lane and Hagerville Road, concrete road drains have also been elevated, and I'm still personally having reservations that it may not be enough. I'm especially skeptical about my Country Lane driveways. This, although I have been repeatedly assured of an approximately 16-inch driveway incline, it may be that I just don't understand construction engineering. So with that, Honorable Mayor and Council members, I remain cautiously optimistic. There's a saying, you can please some of the people all the time, but not all the people all the time. So kudos to Mr. Foose and his team, as the major project must be an enormous task. Residents would also like to thank both City Project Management and Texas Sterling Construction for their letters of notification, keeping us informed of parking difficulties, road closures, and working late requirements. After recent rains filled ditches for days, mosquitoes became an issue. Project management had ditches drained numerous times to alleviate that problem, and it was much appreciated. While backing out of her driveway, one resident became stuck in the mud, missing her doctor's appointment. Ms. Shannon Hall, with the Director of Public Works Office, made sure the project's affected adjacent roads were immediately graveled for better traction. Reference my contract's tree removal, Assistant Director of Public Works, Mr. Jacob Parsons, came out and personally addressed that issue with me, and he also called me today, as a matter of fact. Texas Sterling Assistant Project Manager, Ms. Ashley Acevedo, stated that the project currently has no unforeseen problems and is targeted for completion during May next year. At this point, I would like to invite the Honorable Mayor, council members to take a small amount of their time from their busy schedules for an altogether personal look or tour of this $12 million project. Now, if we have just a few moments, I'd like to go over a few of the color photos that you'll see in your package.
Sure. Go ahead, Mr. Buck.
On the first page of the color photos, you'll see the following photos shows concrete curb housings after being significantly elevated to raise previously engineered Hagerville road heights, therefore reducing the need for extreme driveway inclines. That same photo shows the concrete box at the bottom shows original engineering road height before being raised by the new concrete adapter curb housings now located at the top of that box, allowing the road to be significantly raised. This is my next door neighbor, Mr. Melton Edge's house. The bottom photo shows how now adjusted curbs are now nearly ground level to the yards. In this second page of color photos, The two houses down from Country Lane and Hagerville Road intersection is Melton Edge's neighbor. This
You can continue,
This
Mr. Black.
photo also shows, like our other neighbors, further toward the new bridge, how drain curbs were lifted to nearly old driveway levels. The bottom photo, notice how this photo has raised drain curbs are now almost even with the yard at the point toward the bridge, at this point toward the bridge. The next set of photos is of my home with my large driveway. And after elevating curb drains at my home, the photo shows my Hagerville Road driveway incline still may be questionable. This with respect, although assured by project management of only a 16-inch drop. I do not want my driveway ruined by cutting it further up. This was an expensive driveway installed in the mid-1990s. The bottom photo shows how nice that driveway was before construction began. And I'd like to remind the council that during the city sales contract negotiations, residents were not told that the Hagerville road level would be lowered.
Mr. Black, I'll give you a little bit more time here, a little bit of leeway here, but
okay.
just please start wrapping it up. Thank you.
The next photo shows my original driveway elevation before construction, and then it shows the second photo shows the deep road cut after, construction began. And then you can read the rest of these captions for the rest of this. Some may say, well, trust us or whatever, but here's the thing that I'm coming from. I used to live in Schertz, and during the 1998 flood, my house was flooded. About a year later, the city of Schertz came through and lowered and did a drainage project similar to what we're doing. They lowered my road. My two-car garage was about 30 feet off the street. When they lowered that in that project, that drainage project, they assured me that I was not going to have any problems with my driveway incline, dragging the cars, etc. When I saw the forms being done, I said, this is not going to work. Trust us, Mr. Black, trust us. I said, okay. So after the driveway hardened, my car drug tremendously. And even with the city truck, it drug the city truck. Oh boy, we have a problem. So they had to come out and redo my driveway. It's not a matter of trust. I'm only citing a matter of concern or reservation. And so I do appreciate this city. I appreciate Mr. Foose and the team and Texas Sterling. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up and go on record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Black. Let's do this. We have your folder that you gave to me. I'm not sure if we have enough copies. You have one? Okay, looks like everybody's got one. Okay, so let us do this as our homework assignment, Mr. Black. And then if you could please get with our city secretary, Mrs. Peggy Simmix, and arrange a day and time for that you'll be available, and then we could come out and take a look, and you can show us, everything that you need to show us. Okay?
Yeah, the project is, as far as talking to the different residents, the ones I talked to, there's been no other problems.
Okay. Yeah, there was a resident by the name of Mr. Reed, and he's been in contact with me and I think several others. No relation, but anyway, he wants me to come out and tour this week and get with him as soon as I can. But please work with our city secretary, and we'll try to set up a meeting where we can come out and and take a look at the items you want to show us. Okay, Mr. Black.
And again, I'd like to express my thanks to Mr. Foose and his team because they've been very courteous, respectful, cooperative. And I'm not criticizing. I'm just a matter of concern.
Thank you, Mr. Black. And hang out for one more second. Councilman's got something.
That is the current. That's a current photo, as of probably a week ago.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, moving on to Maggie. Come on up. Welcome, Maggie.
Good evening, City Council.
You have to adjust that. There you go.
Check.
You're
okay.
tall.
Good evening. I just wanted to thank Peggy and her team for the parade Saturday. It was great. Thank you for thinking of me to MC. And again, it was fabulous as always. A great day. Started out a little doubtful with the rain, but we knew it was going to clear up, and it actually got a little steamy. Also wanted to thank Councilwoman Sanchez-Stevens for accompanying me last Friday. I had a holiday obligation with the 12th Flying Training Wing on Randolph, and she graciously accompanied me, and it was a really good time of networking and meeting with some of the officials over there. And last but not least, I have 4 ribbon cuttings for the city of Cibolo, some new businesses that we're welcoming into the chamber. So January 3rd is the very first one. These are all at 10 in the morning for some reason. Noli Vitae. We know they've been open for a while, but they just joined our chamber, and not only are we going to celebrate them, but they're going to feed us. So make sure you come hungry to that ribbon cutting. That is January 3rd. January 19th, we're welcoming City Vet, again at 10 a.m. The 24th, Jersey Mike Subs. And then the 25th is Beezer Homes. And again, they're all at 10 a.m. And of course, you'll get your calendar reminders with the addresses and more pertinent information. So if council and city government can come to show up, it always means so much to the businesses when you all do show up and are there to give them words of welcome. Other than that, we are just preparing, believe it or not, for the new year. Luncheons, coffees, mixers, have a lot of things on the horizon, a lot of requests by members to learn more about AI, artificial intelligence, and how is that going to affect small businesses, what they can do to integrate or not. So that'll be one of our guest speakers. Also trying to get the AETC commander, Lieutenant General Robinson, to come and speak at one of our luncheons too, to give us an update about what's going on with JBSA from California to Florida, as well as the air show that'll be next year. But again, just Merry Christmas to all, and just very thankful for the partnership we continue to have with you all.
Hey, thank you so much, Maggie. And real quick, just wanted to thank you for everything that you've done throughout the year 2023 and in previous years to advocate for the business community. And be their voice, when it comes to city government. I think you do a tremendous job of advocating for all of the members of the chamber, and keep up the great work. And then just a quick comment about the 10 a.m. I know a lot of us, we work other jobs too, other than just serving on city council or serving as mayor. And so that's that you could potentially move these, at least the ones that occur in Cibolo, into like the 11 or maybe 11:30 slot. So that way it would be something that we could do combined with our lunch hour and be able to come to more of these. I would just like to see your attendance increase. And so that's this is an idea I've had. So
yeah, we try to encourage them to be a little bit. We actually encourage Noli Vitae, because we said, well, if you're going to feed us lunch, probably should be a little bit later. And unfortunately, a lot of them, they like to stick between 10 and 4, and that's really hard times. 4 o'clock probably not as much as people are getting off or can leave early, but yeah, those 10, that kind of hurts.
Yeah, it does. So just keep that in mind, and if you don't mind, if you could just put that out there as a suggestion with some of these new businesses, because we do have a lot of ribbon cuttings coming up in 24, and we're really excited about all the new businesses coming to Cibolo. So
yes, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Maggie.
Yes. Jersey Mike's is 24th of January.
Fantastic.
Right.
Can't
Thank
wait.
you.
All right. Thanks, Maggie. Great job. All right. Next up is Kara Latimer. Come on down. Okay. All right. Thanks, Artie. All right. So 6 minutes for the Latimer family.
Good evening, City Council. I am sure that you are aware that I live on Tolly Road and that Tolly Road needs to be repaired. We had several meetings about that repair work to be done, and a lot of talk about the concern of the drainage that is Tolly Road. Tolly Road's actually just a drainage ditch for most of the subdivisions in Cibolo Valley, Ranch, Stone, some of the other subdivisions up the road. So at those meetings, we were told that you guys were looking at a project, the scope of the project, to put sidewalks and culverts and drainage ditches on that project, which is a huge problem for the people that live on Tolly Road, because many people's property are enhanced. We are used to living with the floodwaters, and occasionally they do cause problems for us, but for the most part, they enhance our properties. I'm the beginning of a Wetwater Creek. Tom Cowan, my neighbor, has a low water crossing that flows right onto his property, and we wanted that water to continue to flow onto our property and enhance it with our water features. However, we were told that if we did get the nice road, the citified road for the bikers and the sidewalks, that they would have to channel and drain the water. We did not want that to occur. Then we were told that if we did do that improvement, it would be a 20-year improvement and we probably wouldn't see it for 150 years. But, that's an exaggeration, but for quite an extended period of time. So we all kind of decided that we would just like you to fix Tolly Road. And then just to make it completely clear, there is not a single residence living on Tolly Road that when you tear the road up to put your sewer line in would have our feelings hurt if you fix the road. Okay? So there is a sewer line that you have to put in there, and you are tying that to our road improvement, either through a mill and overlay or a complete reconstruction of our road, right? If you do a complete reconstruction of our road or you do a mill and overlay, Tolly Road still has drainage issues on it and always will. Okay. One of the biggest problems that we have is that they have taken water from behind the power station and directed it across Tolly Road, and that Lake Cibolo will continue to exist in perpetuity unless that water is redirected back into its original channel. So what I would like to say is, while it says that we recommended or that we were in a favor of the 5-year pavement life cycle of the mill and overlay, it is predominantly because that is all that was really within a way to get our road fixed. So again, it will not hurt our feelings when you tear up the road to put in your mandatory sewage line and you fix it. Something would be nice.
Thank you, Kara. Did you have anything, Artie? Nope. Okay. Y'all probably stuck to 3 anyway. Okay. Thanks, y'all. All right. Next up, I think this is Malcolm, right? Malcolm McLaughlin. Is that you? Yeah. Okay. Come on up. Welcome, Tex.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Malcolm McLaughlin, 171 Tolly Road. Same project Kara was talking about. Had several meetings about it. I've sort of been the driver behind getting a lot of our neighbors together and what they want done. Gone up and down the road, talked to all the neighbors, and we realized that when they open the floodgate of Steel Creek down into Tolly Road, if something's not done before that, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. And so what we're presented here tonight is a 5-year road or a 20-year road. And the 20-year road concerns me. The concern I have on the 20-year road is trying to make this a north and south road when this is a farm to market road. That's my concern. We would love to have the 20-year road, but we have not seen any plans, what land acquisitions are going to be required, where the drainage is going to be. And so I don't think it's fair to council to try to make a decision tonight without plans where you can see what we are buying. I'm not going to buy a house without seeing the plans. And I would like to see where the land acquisitions are. The road reconstruction needs to be done. We understand that's, that's involved. I'm for the 20-year road, possibly after I see the plans, but I want to see plans before we say, yes, this is a great idea. It's a great idea, but we got to see plans and know how to move forward. The 5-year reconstruction, if that's in the works and we can get it done, start it next year, I believe let's do that. If the other road is 10 years out, let's just get the mill and overlay done, do what all the citizens at these town hall meetings have agreed on, is doing a mill and overlay. We were not looking for some fantastic, we just want a road that we can drive on without ruining our vehicles.
Sure.
And safety. And when the floodgates open, when Steel Crossing comes in, that's basically what our feelings are. I've talked to neighbors, and it's not just me that can make this decision. I'm asking council, for y'all's wise decision also. We voted y'all in to make a correct decision, not just in what I feel, what our citizens, they all want. They want a road that we can drive on, who we're going to try to be taking land from. And that's what I have to say tonight, and I thank you all for your time. And I appreciate everybody taking the time out for these town hall meetings. It really does mean a lot to us because this is a main road coming through Cibolo, north and south. There's not much other way to get north and south right now. Come out and sit on our road from 6:30 in the morning to 9:30 and from 3:30 to 6:30 at night, and it's traffic.
Yep.
Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
You too. Merry Christmas, Malcolm. Thank you very much for coming out and for your kind words. And, you know, we agree with you. We want to find a solution that's going to be a permanent solution, not a Band-Aid that we're going to have to redo in 2 years. So thank you. All right. Next up is Jeff. Come on down, sir. Okay, that's right. You already passed your time. That's right. Forgot about that. Thank you, sir. All right. So Joshua Boyd. Looks like Peggy, you're going to read one from Josh. Okay. Boyd? Yes, sir.
Okay. This is Joshua Boyd. His name is Joshua Boyd, and he's the owner of 479 Cordora Lane, Cibolo, Texas, 78108. I am against the UDC amendment stating new manufactured homes would not be allowed in the SF2 zones, which is inclusive of my property. I moved to Cibolo and specifically Cordova Lane because there was no restrictions on my 2.93 acre plot. I feel since this is my property, I should be able to construct anything I feel necessary. This should be my decision and mine alone. I do not agree with other individuals putting restriction on something I own, as those decisions should be made by the property owner, not a council of individuals. I am additionally confused as to how my property fits into this section, why the property directly behind me is excluded from this amendment. The zoning does not make sense to me, and I do not agree with the drawings of zones, especially since we live in the country. Once again, I'm against this proposal and feel no one should have the right to tell someone what to do with their own property.
That's it. Thank you, Peggy. All right, moving on to agenda item number 8. This is the consent agenda. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council, and all items will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda. So we're doing something a little bit different this week. The reason why I had a lot of these put under the consent agenda is because they are items that were budgeted, and they are, standard, making the sausage, just, typical city business, right? And so I know that we do have a requirement if something is over 50,000 that it needs to be approved by the city council. And so everybody on the city council does have the right to pull an item out of the consent agenda and debate it, something out and talk about it. We can. If not, if everything is okay, then we can. I'll accept a motion to.
I'll make a motion
approve.
then, Mayor, for 8A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Okay. Okay, I got a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Benson.
Aye.
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 Ayes have it, 7-0. All right, moving on to number 9, staff update. A, administration. Let's see, I think this is Mr. Reed's item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Let me give you a quick update on the items here. So on CIP projects, Hakerville Road and Town Creek Drainage Phase 2, you actually heard from Mr. Black tonight on this project, but my update is the contractor resumed construction on Hakerville Road north of the bridge this past week. The project is now slightly behind schedule, as I've communicated with some of you. Instead of being finished end of December, they'll reach substantial completion by the end of January, weather permitting, and work will continue through February. Bolton Road, Dean Road, and Lower Seguin Road. Council will consider awarding a contract tonight and directing me, the city manager, to execute a contract on these roads with our lowest responsive bidder. Behind the scenes, we continue to work on the next series of roads. That would be Green Valley Road. There are 2 segments of Green Valley Road, and Silver Wing, which is a local residential road. Engineers are finalizing plans for the mill and overlay of these 3 roads, and our staff is targeting issuing an RFP in late January. Construction could begin by April 2024 following the bidding process. Behind those roads, we have Firebird Run and Town Creek Road. Our engineers are also working on developing construction plans for the reconstruction of these 2 roads, Firebird Run and Town Creek Road. We're estimating an RFP, a request for bids, being issued by late March. Construction would start in summer 2024 following the bidding process. So just want you to know that when you combine the Green Valley Road, the Silver Wing Road, Firebird Run, and Town Creek Road, that's approximately 3 miles of roads. When you look at Bolton Road, Dean Road, and Lower Seguin Road, that's 5 miles of road. So in 2024, we'll have about 8 miles of roads under construction. Moving past that, Town Creek Regional Trail. We've been working with TxDOT very diligently to advance this project. As you know, the MPO approved funds so that we pay 20% of the construction of the trail, but we have to go through TxDOT's process. They recently approved this part called Part A of the agreement process. They're now working on Part B. Once those are approved, we can actually get to what's called an advance funding agreement, where once we have that executed, and you will execute that agreement, we can begin construction. And I'm told that we probably won't get to that until September. Mr. Hicks has his hand raised. I'm going to stop right there.
It's supposed to be 28%.
28%. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, I said 20%. Okay,
Yes.
28%. We're within budget for that project. Public safety facility design, you authorized us to move forward with an architect to design the public safety facility with an expectation that you'll have presentations in 2024. The architect is on schedule with plans, and staff is targeting an April first presentation for you to get a look at this facility and for you to give us feedback before they proceed to final design. And then we would be back in front of you in July with that final design so that you have a most current estimate of construction so that you can consider how to proceed with that project. On the recap of the city's recognition award
Before we
ceremony.
move on from CIP, I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Black brought up that somebody from the city told him May. I heard him say that somebody from the city told him May, and you're telling me January. I just want to confirm that because I've got a lot of upset.
So my recollection is that we advertised that this project, when it was approved last year, we had a December 2024 completion. But are you saying May 23?
Mr. Black said that somebody from the city
So
told him that it would be May.
Okay,
And I just want to correct that
Yes.
or get it on record that that is not.
And Mr. Foose can speak to this as well.
I just want to clear that up.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's on? Thank you. We have had several conversations with the contractor, and we are excited to say that the paving is going to start the first or second week of January. They will start paving from the south end and pave all the way through the bridge up to Park Valley. The bridge will open once the paving is completed for north and southbound traffic, so the bridge will already be open. They'll continue paving all the way up for the northbound traffic at the same time, so we will have northbound traffic straight through to FM 78 that affects all those residents there. They'll have a complete road at that point in time, and they'll be able to go north and south across the bridge, so the very long detour will no longer be there. They will then start on the southbound side of the road with the drainage construction and pavement and all the other things. They estimate that's going to take approximately 8 weeks or so to complete, and then they will pave that. That'll put us in early March from the way it looks, and the road will be fully paved out. The remainder of the time that was mentioned by Mr. Black is what it takes to finish up some of the ancillary driveways, signage, riprap work, and other work. So while we anticipate paving to start happening in January,
Yes.
the true completion of the project is scheduled for early May, but that will not affect traffic operations. I think
That's just for
clear.
tying up loose
I
ends,
appreciate
right?
Mr. Foos clarifying that. I was speaking of the road and the road opening to the public.
Is that acceptable? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks, for asking that question so we could clarify that. I just want to recap the city's recognition awards. I want to say thank you for the council members who could make the event, and I hope that you saw that the employees really appreciate when our council members are able to attend events like that, and so that you get to mingle with them as just human beings and they get to talk to you equally. Several employees across office, field, public safety, and people managers and teams. The theme this year was Top Chef, and so the award looked like a cutting board, but it had Employee of the Year or People Manager of the Year with the City of Cibolo logo on it. The employees were really the ambassadors and the shining stars of our entire employee base for exemplifying our core values. So we always think that when you value core values, you need to take the time to celebrate and recognize them. So this is our second year to do that. And again, thank you for the council members who were able to attend. And actually those that attended helped serve the meal too. So we appreciate that, how y'all do that. The recap of the city's holiday parade. Another successful event was held this past Saturday, as was mentioned earlier when Maggie Titterington was here. More than 80 entries were part of the parade. And again, as was mentioned earlier, the weather cooperated and allowed the parade to occur under clear blue skies. And the public showed up at this annual event, being on the fire truck at the end with our Santa 2 years in a row. I think it was as busy this year along the parade route as it was last year. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Simics. What would you add?
If Steele wasn't in the playoffs, we probably would have gone over 100 entries because we had about, I think, total about 15 entries that ended up canceling. So this was the largest parade that we've had so far. And we had a lot of entries that had multiple vehicles or groups in it also. So it was a large parade. And I think everyone enjoyed it. I received a lot of phone calls this week about the parade. So thank all the council members that were able to attend.
Thank you very much, Peggy, for everything you did in your office and all city staff did to make this holiday parade a smashing success. So I think you told me yesterday that this is the 10th year doing it. So you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Peggy.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for being the ringleader.
And at this point, the parade takes almost 2 full hours from the start of the first float or entry, the individuals carrying the banner, to when the fire truck at the end of the parade gets to City Hall. So as big as it is, it takes that long to complete it. Let me give you an update on the remodel of City Hall and Public Works building, and then I'm done, Mayor and Council. Both projects remain on schedule. City Hall renovation, as you know, staff members have moved into the north wing. That's the city secretary's office, municipal court, and the city manager's office. The south wing will be ready for staff to initiate moving in next week, on the week of 12/18. We will advertise when utility building is open to the public in its office space in the City Hall for the week after that. We're targeting the week of December 25th, but we'll make an official announcement in the next week. The council chamber is taking shape with new technology. I happen to see, rather than a screen on the back wall like you had, the old-fashioned style, it is as large, if not larger than that screen, and this is top-end technology. I was at the Guadalupe County Commissioner's Court today, and behind the Commissioner's dais is a very high-tech wall that you can see the TVs that make up that wall. So it looks like you're looking through a window with grids. Our screen has no grids. It's really state-of-the-art. And again, you're going to have new technology for voting. We'll have cameras enhanced to where when a speaker is speaking and there's a PowerPoint, you'll get to see both. There are multiple camera angles. So more to come on that, but very excited that the council chamber is taking shape and all public meetings will be held back at City Hall starting in January. This is your last meeting
Okay.
at the Noble Event Center.
The first meeting, or right, in January. Okay.
It is equally important. The Public Works staff members have moved back into the building and are continuing to settle in. And I know that they're very happy to have a facility that's larger and modern to add to what they've had in the past. That's my update, Mayor
Okay.
and Council.
And then, Mr. Reed, just had a couple quick comments.
Yes, sir.
As far as the holiday parade, this is my 6th holiday parade to enjoy, and I think I've finally figured out how to have enough candy to make it to the very end. So I think it takes 4 bags. So
We brought 5 and then they gave us 4.
right. Yeah, I think with Stosh with me, I think we were at 5, maybe 6 bags, but I think that's what did it. So thank you. And then one last thing about the moving into the new city hall. I did go to a swearing-in ceremony over in Converse, and so I got to witness how a neighboring city does theirs. And one of the cool things I saw up on their screen was whenever they got to specific agenda items, they would put it up on the screen. Instead of just the whole agenda, they would actually make like a slide, like kind of like a PowerPoint presentation, but a slide for each individual agenda item. So that way when you cycle through the PowerPoint presentation, everybody can see it up there, and get a clear view of what this agenda item is about. Anyway, just a little suggestion. That's something maybe we can look into for 2024. So that's all I got. What's that?
Yes, Converse.
Yeah, in Converse is where I was. I went in there. They had a couple council members that just got elected, and then Al won his reelection. So I went there to support them. All right, that's it.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
May I quickly introduce our new CIP manager to the
Absolutely.
City
Please
Council?
do.
So, Julio, go ahead and stand up. This is
Hey,
Julio
what's up?
Gomez. He's our new CIP manager. Comes to the city of Cibolo with decades of experience in street maintenance from the city of San Antonio. So we're glad to have him on board.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. Welcome. I know. Don't scare him off, all right? We got to keep this one. All right. So that's Chief Andreas, did you have any updates from the police department? Nope. Okay. All right. How about, let's see, Mario, is he here today? Let's see, Mario. Okay. No fire update. All right. All right. Looks like they're busy, it sounds like, actually. So, all right. Moving on to item number 10. I think, Peggy, we just had one item, right? Or one member. Is Travis Whittam here? He's Travis? Raise your hand. Travis? Okay.
Ryan Thompson?
Okay, Ryan Thompson. And then what about Travis? Did you get a confirmation from him one way or the other? No? Okay. All right. I did reach out to Travis just recently just to see if he was going to come. Yeah, let's see. I guess they have a P&Z meeting tomorrow night though, right? Yeah, I know, right? So I sent him, anyway, we're about to go into executive session, but let's go ahead and get him sworn in, and then maybe let's reserve the right to revisit this. Yeah, I know. Well, I'll just assume everything's gonna be fine. But anyway, so let's do this agenda item, and I'll reserve the right to reopen it if Travis does come after our executive session, because I really want to get him, on board tonight if possible. So anyway, 10A, discussion action on the removal, appointments, and reappointments to Planning and Zoning Commission, Board of Adjustments, Capital Improvement Program, CIP Committee, Charter Review Committee, commissions, and boards. All right, so, okay, Ryan Thompson. All right, Ryan Thompson, come on down. You want a new car?
You also get a new name.
No, right? Hello, how are you?
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you lived in Cibolo, what you do for a living, and what makes you interested? What's the board for him?
Planning and zoning.
Okay, and why are you interested in planning and zoning?
Okay. Well, my name is Ryan Thompson. I've been in Cibolo about 10 years or so. Retired here, military, Army brought me here. I worked with the Army Baylor program where we had about 13 to 14 cohorts doing fun stuff. I moved to Cibolo because my wife and I was coming from Louisiana, and we were looking at education. So we looked at everything along the San Antonio Metroplex. We had a good friend that retired here previously, and so when we came to live here, we liked the small town feel. We was able to raise our twin boys here. They're now 10. They were just being born here in this city. My wife's water broke at Bentwood Ranch. She was out in the backyard, so this became home. But I come with wealth of knowledge. I have a degree in public administration. I'm working on my master's in management. I like government. I like developing and planning. I like to see how the city will grow 10 to 15 years from now. Looking at some of the infrastructure projects that you guys been having going on for the past, 10 years. I looked into that. About 10 years ago, I met Miss Peggy. I wrote some things that I saw that could benefit the city. And it was, I did it on the I-35 corridor. What we have here is a main artery, which you know, we have a town that's a farm to market town that has transitioned into a boom city. Everyone wants to come here because of you guys who've been here for years, who helped this city grow to be a prosperous community. I want to be a part of that long-term growth as far as dealing with the infrastructure. What will our city look like 10 to 20 years from now? Will we have the water source that will be able to support the ever-growing population? I believe that is one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Texas, as far as county, Guadalupe, and you got Carmel. And then you have the merging of the Austin area, Metroplex, San Antonio, boom. So what you have is, how do we capitalize on, one, not losing infrastructure that we already have in place, but building upon that infrastructure and doing it in a manner that the citizens can be involved in, as well as understanding how growth works. So yeah, I get kind of excited about that stuff.
Nice.
I'm a little weird like that, but that's a little bit of me. I have 5 children. My wife's a respiratory therapist. I retired. I take the kids home to school, go to school. I'm also a barber. I have a landscaping company, and I'm a board of directors of a nonprofit called Real People Educating Others, and moved in here as renters. So how will you service that need? Whether it's single mother, single father, what will we have in place? So anywhere I can get involved, God said use your hands, and I'm here.
That's great, Ryan. Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions for Ryan?
I have a quick question for
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
So you have a bachelor's in public administration. Did you ever have an opportunity to use that degree in a particular job?
Yes, at home, as far as with planning certain events, certain things with our community at home. But we work on something with the Lemon Project, education, and trying to get funding from the government and what aspects that you need to do. So I did more the administrative aspects of looking at that. But other than that,
And just last question, have you had an opportunity to look at our Cibolo tomorrow, our comprehensive plan that we're currently working on as a city, and had an opportunity to chime in?
but I can get abreast upon that.
No, absolutely. It's great. Go to cibolotomorrow.com, and that'll give you an idea of that comprehensive plan as you're talking about growing the city, how the city should grow. I think you'd enjoy that. We have a couple of podcasts from a lot of different of the council up here, just as well with city staff, that I think would be very beneficial.
Okay.
Kind of catch up. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for applying.
No problem.
Thanks, Norma.
Thank you.
And so you live in Bentwood Ranch, you said?
No, that's when I first moved here.
Okay.
I lived in Bentwood Ranch. I live off 106 Sweet Gum.
What neighborhood's that?
Thistle Creek.
Thistle Creek. Okay. All right. Very good.
Peggy, I was trying to find it. I was not texting. I was looking for the list.
That's what I was looking
People for on the different committees. What vacancies do you have on planning and zoning?
6.
District 6. Well, there we go.
Yeah. Well, we also had Travis Widom who wanted to apply. So
Do we have any alternates on that committee too open?
We have 2 and they're full.
Okay.
This is our only opening.
okay. All right. So do we hear a motion to
Well,
appoint
I've got a
Ryan?
question.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Being on former planning and zoning myself, we're called the bookends, but myself and Mr. Benson have been on planning and zoning before. It takes a lot of time. A lot of people don't understand that. They think that you can just show up on that Wednesday night and take care of business. It's not that. There's a lot more to it than just showing up on Tuesday night. You'll have packets not about the size of our council packets sometimes, to have to go through and look through and make sure that things match up, zoning and all that. So I just want you to be aware that it's a lot more than just showing up at a council meeting and at a meeting and discussing what's going on. It takes up some time, just like council does. It takes up a lot of time. I just want you to be aware of that. Before we had issues with people showing up and not having enough for agenda. Not agenda, but enough for a quorum. Mm-hmm. So I just want to make sure that taking that step that because I know that one of my guys that I had appointed, he flat out told me, "Hey Joel, so if there's ever a point where you know that life is take more command and it does because your family comes first or it should come first." Just telling you. If
people get appointed to a committee, like Joel's saying, people feel like I have to serve. Even if my life is, I've got 4 kids. You said you have 5.
My kids are grown. I only have 2 that's 10.
Okay.
And I'm retired. I'm at home.
So life happens. So
Yeah.
if you ever feel like you can't make a meeting, we want you to know that this is not a life or death situation. We would like you to be there, but if life happens, we just want it to be known to every committee member that your family comes first.
Right.
And it's not, if you need to back down for a minute to go do whatever and then come back, that's fine too.
No, I have my wife.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm not.
I have my family's full support. Before we've been talking about this for quite a while. So we've already navigated, have everything already in line of where we're going and direction that I will lead my family along this process.
Awesome. I just wanted you to be fully aware of
yes.
what's going on. That's
Yes,
all.
sir.
All right. Do we hear a motion?
Mr. Hetzel,
Okay.
Make a motion that we appoint him to P&Z.
All right. Randy, go ahead.
Stand
Sorry.
by.
I guess one of my concerns is that we have people that are alternates that we've not considered to move up or anything along that lines. I've had a couple of board members reach out to me or commissioners and with regard to that.
I'll let you know, Randy. My dad served all 6 years as an alternate before, because they've got term limits. It happens.
And I think in this particular instance, our alternates are not in District 6. So we have a
Right.
resident in District 6 who could represent that district.
Yeah.
For it as well. District 6 is so difficult to get anyone
It is.
to volunteer from because it's smaller. That when we have a willing volunteer, we're putting you on one committee tonight, but watch yourself if you might have
Right. Yeah. And then also, I know this has really nothing to do with your appointment, but I'd like for us to get back to appointing people that actually live in the districts that they are supposed to be representing. And so I know we're about to change into a hybrid situation where we're going to have 4 geographical districts and then 3 at-large seats, that is. And so anyway, I think that moving forward, I want to make sure that of those geographical districts, that the folks that we have serving those geographical districts, the 4 of them, are actually live in those geolocations. So
I'll second Mr. Hetzel's motion.
Very good. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Welcome to the team, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And then get with Peggy, and she'll get you through the ethics training information. And tomorrow night, come on back here tomorrow night. Okay. All right. Very good. Thanks again, Ryan. All right. Moving on to item number 11, executive session. The City Council will meet in executive session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.087, economic development, and 551.074, personnel matters, to discuss the following: A, status of negotiations of the GVSUD versus City of Cibolo litigation; B, economic development updates; C, discussion regarding the city manager's performance evaluation; D, discussion regarding zoning, TLGC 212.0095; and F, City Attorney Legal Services. The time is now 7:55 p.m. We will break into executive session. 11C.
Make a motion for 8% and 15-month contract extension.
Seven. There you go.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Benson.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. 4-3. All right. Moving on to 13A, approval disapproval of a resolution of the City of Cibolo appointing. I'm sorry. We're gonna postpone. Yeah. So motion to table 13A.
Second, as long as it's on the agenda for January and it's one of the first ones.
Okay. So we're moving that to January. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-1. Okay, 5-2. Thank you. Okay. All right, moving on to 14A, approval disapproval of an ordinance of the City of Cibolo for an amendment to Article 4 zoning regulations, Section 4.7.4.3, mixed use regional employment center, MURI. Zoning regulations of the city's Unified Development Code, UDC, to allow vehicle towing facilities and vehicle storage in MURI zoning districts. Kelsey Lee.
I'm just here if you have any questions. I know we're trying to get through the next few items, but if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right, so basically this will allow vehicle towing facilities in the MURI. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion for 14A.
Second.
Okay, we have approval of 14A. I have a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Hicks.
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0. Moving on to 14B, approval disapproval of an ordinance of the City of Cibolo for an amendment to Article 17 landscaping regulations, Section 17.1J3B, to reduce the 15-foot landscape buffer requirement in the Old Town District when an off-street parking or vehicle area or use area abuts to a public right-of-way.
Just the same if council has any questions.
Okay. Any questions on this item? Do I hear a motion? Got a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Benson.
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0. Moving on to 14C, approval disapproval of an ordinance of the City of Cibolo for an amendment to Appendix A of the Unified Development Code, Article 20, subdivision regulations to amend certain requirements for final acceptance of public improvements.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Hicks.
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0.
Thank you, council.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to 15A, approval disapproval of the final plat of Cibolo Farms Unit 1 subdivision. Ms. Huerta.
Yes, hi. Staff and the city engineer have reviewed the proposed final plat and associated documents. For the review letter attached, all comments have been addressed. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this final plat.
Any questions on this?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second by Councilman Hicks, and then we're going to start with Councilman Benson.
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you very much, Ms. Huerta. All right, moving on to 15B, discussion action to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with D&D Contractors, Inc., Cibolo, Texas, for the reconstruction of Dean Road, Lower Seguin Road, and Bolton Road for the base bid, city portions in the amount of $183,462.46. Or if the county commissioners take formal action to fund the county portion in the amount of $1,147,755.02 to amend the contract for a total amount of $6,331,217.48. Mr. Foos.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and I think that might be the award for the longest title for an agenda item. Before you tonight is basically approval of a contract with D&D Construction for the reconstruction of Dean Road, Bolton Road, and Lower Seguin Road. As the heading suggests, we have one of two options. We can move forward and only award the bid for the base bid, which excludes the county roads, sections of these roads, or the city council can approve the bid with the stipulation that if the county acts as we believe they will act in reference to an agreement entered into by the county and the city for them to fund the portion of the roadway that's within the county sections, which would increase the base bid from $5,183,462 to a total of $6,331,217, meaning the county would contribute $1,147,755 as project. That would be the second motion. D&D was the low bidder. We had 4 qualified bidders apply. In all essence, they were the next highest bidder was $600,000 higher than them. The next one was $900,000 higher, and the one after that was another $500,000 higher. The highest bid was CK Newberry at $7,729,973. And the low base bid was $5,706,583.46. D&D is highly qualified. They actually, their business is a resident of the city of Cibolo, and they successfully completed the Cibolo Valley Drive project on schedule and on budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'll make a motion.
Hold on, real quick. Before we make the motion, I know this does have an or clause within it. Frank, is it okay to make the motion as is, or do we need to make a motion one way or the other?
He would have to make the motion one way or the other.
Okay.
That's
So,
I know.
all right. So, do we know the answer on the county?
So today I was at the Guadalupe County Commissioners Court. Mr. Hetzel and Mr. Hicks were there, and I'll, after I say my piece, would like them to speak up. 4 commissioners were present. Judge Kutcher was not present. He was out sick. That was not a decision today, but it was a discussion, and the discussion included them indicating which way they would lean if they were presented with an ILA in early January. 3 of the 4 said they were leaning to approve an ILA. And so tonight, if you were to do motion 2, which would include the county portions, I'd also want you to give myself and the city attorney clear direction to write that ILA, bring it back to you January 9th, and we would give that to the county for them to approve at the same time.
Okay, so let's go with that angle.
No, that's exactly what I was going to do.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't need.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
And if I may, just before Mr. Hicks, you make the motion, I do want to say that the owner of D&D, Kelly Dickens, is here along with some of his leadership team. They've been sitting here, and if you had any questions for them, they'd be happy to answer, but I know time is of the essence tonight.
Well, I'll make the motion with the understanding that if the county does, for whatever reason, pull out, that it will go back to the 5 million, and just, I want D&D to hear this as well. And it's on record. So make a motion to move to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with D&D Contractors, Inc. for the base bid city portions in the amount of $5 million, $183,462.46. And if the county commissioners take formal action to fund the county portion in the amount of $1,147,755.02 to amend the contract for the total amount of $6,331,217.48.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are approved. 7-0.
Mayor and council, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Foos. Moving on to 15C, discussion action on the preliminary acceptance of public infrastructure for Mesa Western Subdivision Unit 2. Mr. Otto.
Mesa Western Unit 2 is PBCH development. It is 33.15 acres, consisting of 70 residential lots and 1 open space lot. The original land study was approved back in 2020. The subdivision includes 3,064 linear feet of water, 3,906 linear feet of sanitary sewer, and 2,861 linear feet of streets. The total value of public infrastructure is $2,306,826.25. I have conducted a walkthrough, provided a punch list, and verified that the contractor has addressed all punch list items, and therefore I am recommending preliminary acceptance of the public infrastructure.
I make a motion to approve 15C.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Hicks.
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Otto. Okay, we're going to bounce on down to G, 15G, discussion action to authorize the city manager to execute the CRWA partial assignment of capacity in the Mid-Cities Water Transportation Pipeline. Mr. Foos.
Evening, Mayor and Council. This is a little bit of inside baseball here. So essentially, this pipeline that runs from Dunlap Treatment Plant all the way to Wagner Booster Station over here on FM 78. There are multiple owners of the capacity in that pipeline. SAWS is one of the owners of that capacity. They're not using that capacity. We need that capacity to ensure that we don't overpump our capacity. We've been leasing that capacity for the past 10 years. This will be the final lease opportunity to lease that capacity in that pipeline. It's already been built into the budget. It's been built in the budget for years on end. This is just a housekeeping thing, but because of a change in the SAWS manner in which this is adopted, it requires the city council to take formal action. In the past, it was just authorized by the city manager as part of the budget process.
I'll make a motion to approve 15G as written.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Benson.
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to 15H, discussion action to authorize the city manager to direct our engineering team to complete the construction plans for the Tolly Road project, selection of either the 5-year or 20-year pavement design, and if needed, to amend the financial year 24 budget. In addition, authorize the city manager to direct the engineering team to complete the plans for the sanitary sewer main project. Mr. Foos.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we've already held two not public hearings, I guess, town hall meetings with the residents in reference to this project. We have gone over the plans in the past in reference to what this project would look like as far as if we were to do the simplified version, which is just doing a mill and overlay of the existing road. We also looked at the narrowed version of the major expansion, not taking into consideration the acquisition of in excess of 30 properties and moving dozens of utility poles. Both of those options are out there. To be honest, either project works for the city. The only thing, and I think the city manager has been very clear on this, the fact that if we do the simple mill and overlay, you're essentially getting a 5 to 7 year road. It's hard.
3 to 5 year road is what engineers have said.
A 3 to 5 year road versus doing the full project, which gets us a 20-year road. There's a substantial difference in the cost. Both of them would include the cost of putting the sanitary sewer line in.
Okay, so basically, we're looking at doing what we call the fair, because I know we did 2 town halls with the citizens that live along Tolly Road, and we normally do good, better, best. We introduced what's called the fair option, and so the fair option is what would be the 5-year pavement design, meaning the road we would spend $2 million roughly to build a road that we don't guarantee to last any longer than 5 years. And so it would be something that we would spend $2 million of our taxpayer dollars on, and then have to come along in potentially 5 years and do something else. Basically do the project over again. Is that a good use of our citizens' money? To basically spend $400,000 a year over a 5-year time period and then have to do it over again. The other option is to do the 20-year design, which is a design that would also include the under road sewer option and also include a wider road and a road that would last. And Mr. Reed has told all of us several times, I believe, if he feels the need to expand on it, that we do have the money as far as the money in several funds to be able to complete the 20-year project. And so we would not have to go to the bond market with this, right? We would be able to pay for it with money we have in-house?
That's correct.
Okay.
Anna Miranda confirmed that those funds are still there.
Okay, so the funds are there. We would not have to borrow money to go with the 20-year option, and it would be an option that is more permanent, right?
That would be correct, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, with
But
that
Mayor,
being said,
if
does
we're-
anybody have any
if-
questions?
I do. So,
do you think we should table this by any chance? I mean, would you like to get more information and then come
no,
back at
I
this
don't
in
need
January?
more information. I've been to both of them. What I'm getting at is,
think we should
I know that one or two of the individuals that live along Tolly Road will fight us.
Yeah.
And so we'll be in litigation. Well, I mean, we had 2 citizens come up and give their opinion tonight. Just give us, a road.
Well,
And I'm going to tell you,
one of
Mayor,
those citizens, I believe, is for the 20-year.
either way, both of them will support it. But what I'm getting at is D.R. Horton is giving us 1.2 million.
Yes, sir.
So we're only coming up with 800,000.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to make your motion?
I prefer to table this. And I hate to table it because I feel like we're just kicking the can down the road. But
Well, I think there's some issues that I have with this. Is like we had this discussion all during lead up to the budget CIP subcommittee. We talked about it. We had reasons why we decided to push, and then all of a sudden it's on an agenda. I think there's still some questions I have. There's some questions about utility moving. Like, I thought that was only if we went the wider road or shifted the road to the GVC side. Now I got utility issues. We don't really know about easements. I think we need to flesh this out rather than at 11:15 at night on a night where we've already had a lot going on. This road can last another month before we make a sound decision on this. And there's a few more questions that I need to get answered in my mind.
Yeah.
2 citizens coming up and telling us what they think. There's other issues down there, which is drainage. And at one of the town hall meetings, we're talking about lakes in people's yards. How does this affect that? I mean, I think there's some more questions rather than just jamming this on the agenda and then running it through at 11:15. So I would like to table it tonight and bring it back in January.
Would council like us to schedule another town hall with the residents?
No, probably not. But maybe we could do this in an executive session. This would be a good candidate for executive session.
or one of those workshops
in the
that
next.
we do right before something to give us a little more time to kind of hash it out.
Yeah, we definitely need more information.
I don't think that bringing the citizens, because they came in force the last time.
They've already been here twice.
They've
Yeah, we
been
don't
here
need to involve them
twice.
again.
They've voiced their concerns.
They need a road. The reality of it is that the difference between 2 million and maybe last 3 to 5 years and 7 million and quote unquote make it 20. I mean, give me a road we got out there that's made. Right? Tell me.
Right.
You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but you
Yeah.
don't have a road in town that's done 20 years. I mean, it might still be there 20 years, but it's not driving. So I mean, I think we need to lower and temper our expectations anyway.
Yeah.
We're talking about a road that constantly gets flooding over the top of us. So you're gonna guarantee 20 years on Holly Road? Right. Right. So I mean, I think we need to actually have a discussion about this. 11:15
Yeah.
night's not.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, so you have a motion to table?
I motion to table item number
15H, and I'll second that.
So I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are tabling 15H.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to, let's see, what else we got to vote on? We're going to go on to 15J, discussion action to address parkland naming rights to allow the Chesler family name and provide a historical marker as an amendment to sales agreement between Marguerite Ann Bones, property owner in the city of Cibolo, Texas, to purchase parkland and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement. Mr. Reed.
Mayor, Council, if you have any questions, I'll answer them. You authorized me to proceed with the acquisition of about 18 acres from the Warbler Woods property for parkland. The family wants to ensure that the park can be named after its family, the Chesler Park, and that we could put up a historical marker like you think, the black ones that are metal, and it looks like it was imprinted on there. And so if you give direction and approve these two items, it would be an amendment to the sales agreement.
I make a motion to approve 15J.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are approved. Chesler Park.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's go to discussion action on no-through trucks. That would be L, discussion action on no-through trucks in Cibolo Vista. Councilman Hicks.
This was brought to me, to my attention, that the people at Grace Valley are cutting through, and y'all have pictures in y'all's packets showing these 18-wheelers where they're cutting through these narrow streets and almost sideswiping people. So I just wanted to bring this to y'all's attention to take some action, especially if you look at the second page where these streets aren't built for on-street parking and then having an 18-wheeler drive down through there. I just, we need to put up some no-through truck signs and patrol it and ticket these people. You've got 2-3 90-degree turns to get in and out of there. And what they're doing is coming down 1103, cutting through there. It's the quickest way instead of going to Weil, to Bright Road, then to Weil, or to Weil, and just take Weil to all the way to Grace Valley. So I just want to bring it to y'all so we can take some action
Okay.
to put up some no-through truck.
Okay. So you want to do a no-through truck sign on what road?
That would be, it's in there.
It says in Cibolo Vista. That's the name of the neighborhood, right?
It's in
so is there
Cibolo
a
Vista.
specific street
So
name?
Vista Del Rey, Canyon Vista, and Country Vale.
So those three streets?
Yes.
Okay. So
Well, they wouldn't be able to get to Canyon Vista unless
Country Vale's in the middle.
Country Vale goes to the back and Vista Del Rey goes to the front. So if we put one at the front entrance and one at the rear entrance, one at Weil and one at Cibolo Valley, at FM 1103.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Is that instruction understood by staff?
It is.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I also wanted to mention, I noticed the big no through truck sign on Main Street.
Yes,
With
thank
the red?
Very
you. The red ones
flashy,
are up.
like it.
Yes. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Very noticeable.
Yeah, it's right by
Yes,
ATV.
sir.
It looks
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, so do we have a motion on that one?
Make a motion to, or give no-through trucks on for the subdivision of Cibolo Vista.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, 7-0. Okay, so now, do we really need to make a decision on Cibolo Fest date tonight, or is this something we could think about? And do we need to know this tonight, or?
Probably helpful.
Got to get the talent hired.
It is not mandatory. However, Ms. Simics and I would all tell you the longer we delay in announcing our date, the harder it is to confirm other components of an event.
12
So
October.
that's it.
Because I'd like to think about it. I haven't even seen the options yet.
So it's not
So-
mandatory. We can
12
wait until
October.
January. I would say, though, if we can't make that decision by January 9th, then we're really
12 October.
harming our ability to promote the event.
The 5th, the 12th.
Okay, there you go.
This last week was bad, right? The last week was bad with a lot of conflict. 12 or 19 then, because the first weekend's got some issues too.
I mean, you definitely want to be the latest because you want it to be cooler outside. You know,
October
then
19th.
If you get too late, you run into all the fall festivals at school and everything else. That's what happened with this one.
Is if we're going to use the same carnival that we have, they're already booked for the end of October for this next year. So we can go back to the smaller carnival and have it anytime during October. But if you want the larger carnival like we have,
yeah, yeah.
now anytime during
So the 19th would probably be the earliest I'd want to go myself, but I'm only one voice.
If council gives us the option of the 12th and the 19th, Ms. Simics will reach out to the carnival. And let's say they're available only on the 12th and not the 19th. I think we're going to go with the 12th.
Seems fine.
Okay, somebody put that into the form of a motion.
I moved that we direct staff to set a Cibolo Fest for either the 12th or 19th, depending on availability.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilman Hicks.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it, 7-0. All right, so what time we got?
It's 11:15.
Okay, it's 11:24. Let's hear the. I think we have a lot of police officers here, so let's hear the one discussion presentation on the overview of the Cibolo Police Department. Do you think you can handle that in 10 minutes, or what's your ETA on that, or like your no?
I had it down to 20, but if you want, I can scale it down and just kind of go.
You think 20 minutes? Should we do that or the grant? What do y'all want to do?
We'll go home.
I mean, they're already here, so.
Yeah.
Let's just do the 20-minute or 15-minute. How about that? Let's meet us in the middle. Do a 15-minute. Okay. All right.
We'll make it work. All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Cedric Andrews, Chief of Police for Cibolo Police Department, and thank you all tonight for allowing me to kind of jump in and talk a little bit about an overview of the police department. So I'll kind of go real quick here. So, one of the things that we're going to discuss tonight is a crime overview for the last 3 years of the department. We'll talk a little bit about reactive and proactive policing. We'll talk about geographic policing models, our staffing levels, and technology enhancements that we're hoping Mayor and Council will provide some feedback on. So as we go through that overview, the main thing for me is to seek council feedback on your thoughts regarding the police department needs to increase staffing levels, Mayor and Council's thoughts on seeking funding for a record management system for the police department, and your thoughts regarding automatic license plate recognition technology for the police department. Look, we know our goals in the police department, so I won't, stay on that slide. I think our goals, what's important to us, is what it does for the Cibolo Police Department. We are the 28th safest city in Texas, and that's a large part because of the men and women of the Cibolo Police Department, what they do on a daily basis, their professionalism, but also the support that we get not only from Mayor and Council, but from our community. That allows us to be able to do those things. As we talk about the organization and the composition of the organization, I think you saw that we're roughly at around 56 employees. But what I want to jump to is the Cibolo Police Department stats. Thus far this year, when you look at our stats that you see in your slide from 21 to 2022, it's an overview of our violent crime data. And as of November 30th, and that's for 2023, you'll see that the police department has really responded to a significant increase in the domestic disturbances and assaults. Now, I'm going to call your attention because you see a big jump from 2021 to 2022. That jump was really related to us hiring a crime victim liaison, because now we document every domestic disturbance we go on. It allows us to follow up on that, to provide a high level of service to our community. So you see that jump because we're taking reports on those. As you see them taper off this year, we're still taking reports. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about our reporting system and the time that can take with our officers. More importantly, I think that you see, even on assault calls, since COVID, assault has been going up across the country. We're seeing it also here in Cibolo. And many of these calls require more than one officer, which can sometimes put a strain on resources in the police department. Now, one of the things that the city of Cibolo and I think which is one of the biggest things that we are looking at is property crime theft, right? Our violent crime are areas that we continue to work on and manage, but property crime theft is one of the big major things in the police department. And one of these areas that we're talking about is our motor vehicle thefts. You'll see that in 2022, we had about 157 motor vehicle thefts over the annual period. Thus far this year, we have about 73. Now, I know that's what's important to council. We briefed out on that, and seeing those, burglaries of a vehicle that were thefts that were happening in the community. But of those burglaries of a vehicle, many of them we are responding out, even as of last night, of property being left in plain view. So we're going to continue to work on that. But I'll call your attention also to emergency detentions, because as our community continues to grow, our officers are also responding to calls on those in the community with mental health, right? And we're getting out there to help them with some of those challenges. And these calls can also exasperate resources because we're responding out there, sometime requiring 2, maybe 3 officers or a supervisor. So as we look at that day-to-day operations, I truly can tell you, because calls for service are going up, what you're seeing is less opportunities for us to have more traffic stops. Since 2021, our traffic stops have went down. I think that that's also a direct correlation that we'll talk about here with our officers having not as much time, unencumbered time, or open patrol time to be able to do proactive policing. Traffic crashes have also kind of gone up. And as we looked at those, these also are all things that can exasperate resources, because it takes more than 1 or 2 officers to work these. But it's also a direct correlation for us having less time to affect driver behavior by being able to have that open patrol time to do more proactive police work. This is one of the most important slides I think that we'll talk about tonight, because this slide contains some information about our calls for service. And as you'll see on that blue, since 2012, right, we have seen significant increases in calls for service. When you look at that green graph, that is calls for service that comes through the dispatch center. You've also seen those calls for service go up, and we're projected to be somewhere around 20,000 calls at the end of this year. And then when you look at that yellow bar on there, that really talks about the open patrol time that our officers you've seen go down since 2014, because we are going to more calls for service that we're getting through dispatch and giving us less opportunity to be proactive. And I think it's important just to note that when you look at our police officers that we've hired in the police department, that has kind of remained the same. Our numbers have not increased, and we're talking about patrol officers here, that when you look at those 20 officers working in patrol as calls for service, it's giving us less opportunity to add more officers to be more proactive. So I think what's important about that is we're going to talk a little bit about reactive and proactive policing. What officers respond to: 911 calls, right? Suspicious person calls, traffic accidents, right? In progress calls. What we want to be doing, more traffic stops, right, to address driver behavior in our community, having more opportunities to do proactive policing, where we're in the community working on our hotspot and problem areas, doing more community engagement, right? Working with our neighborhood watch groups and business watch groups. But even as we see things that happen from a mental health standpoint that goes up in the community, having the ability to even do follow-ups, because sometimes that helps us to not have to respond back to that call again. So where are we in the Cibolo Police Department? We are currently a reactive police department. That's based on some research that I've looked at, research that I've seen since I've been here, and talking with our command team and staff. Obviously, our officers are responding to calls for service. We're working 12-hour shifts, both day and night shift. But what you're seeing also is the fact that because we're responding to more call for service and being reactive, obviously our complaints have went up in the city, from traffic complaints and other things that we're trying to get to work on. Our priority 1 and 2 calls are going up. And these are calls where people need assistance from the police right now, right? And our officers are finding themselves responding to those back-to-back calls, which sometimes can put a strain on resources. Where do we desire to be? We want to be proactive. We've heard loud and clear from the council that we want to be able to do self-initiated work. We want our officers to be able to go out in the field each day, right, to develop their own initiatives, get information and strategies to solve crime. We want them to be problem solvers, right? We also want our officers to be able to do more directed patrols, right, in the communities, having opportunities to be able to use a slick car and get out there and affect burglaries of a motor vehicle because they have the free time to do so. We also want our officers spending more time with neighborhood watch groups. We're never going to stop crime alone. We need to be able to go to neighborhood watch groups and get our citizens to understand the importance of take, lock, and hide their property. So, but we have to have that open time to be able to perform those duties. Even with those things that we see, the Cibolo Police Department continues to put on over 20 programs. 20 programs that you see with our Office of Public Information and Crime Prevention. And those programs really do help us a lot to foster positive engagement, but also to give us opportunities to be able to relay things to our citizens. And so, as you're aware, Blue Santa's coming. It's an exciting time in our community to help to provide needs for those in our community that are less fortunate. My goals, the goals for the police department, and we've been talking about this as a leadership team, is to implement geographic-based policing. And basically what that means is having an officer assigned to a geographic area on a nightly basis. That officer becomes a subject matter expert in that community. He's working with community members. You as council members know who your officers are. Our desire is to have sergeants over those areas so that the community knows who those leaders are. What geographic-based policing is going to allow us to do is increase accountability, and I think it's going to allow us to tailor our police services to the needs of each community. What does that look like? Just what I said. We would have an officer, sergeants assigned to these areas working these every day. One of the things I want to touch on as if you will go to our manpower slide, I think it's important because obviously our former Chief Huggins was doing a lot of research and data, right, when we was looking at our calls for service. What you'll see is that in 2015, we did a study through the model of allocation for patrol personnel. That's MAP. That was done through the University of Texas. Back then, we had 18,756 calls for service. That year, we had 16 patrol officers in 2015. The projected model for them was by 2020 or in 2020, we would see about 26,000 calls for service, right? And would need about 33 patrol officers, just patrol, right? To be able to address the increase in calls for service. We followed up on that in 2022, took those same calls for service, right, that we had in 2015, and we ran a study through the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And as they looked at their model, their projection was we would probably see around 22,000 calls for service and need about 29 officers in patrol. Their model probably is a little bit more accurate to what we're seeing this year, around 21,000 calls. And I would probably tell you that staffing level is probably a little bit more accurate to allow us to have geographic policing and meet the needs of the community. So as we look at that and we go through the study, I think you'll see over time, this council has done a great job providing resources to the police department. We have seen our council make investments in our departments. As you look at that side, 2016, we added 4 additional officers. In FY 2019, we added 4 officer positions, an SRO, an investigator, and 2 patrol officers. You know, I won't go through the whole slide, but even as you see in FY 24, we've added 4 officers as a result of SB 1707 and HB 3 because of the new House bills, but those officers will be going to our school resource officers area. So while we know the mayor and council and city manager's office are making investments in our police department, we know that there's going to take technology and more investments for us to continue to be a safe community. And I know that we can do that. We're doing it now. I'd just like to call your attention to the next slide as you look at the comparison to our surrounding areas. We wanted to just bring in some awareness to what we see geographically with our partners. And as you go through the slides, you'll see that green pretty much looks at the highest staffing levels. And as it goes through yellow to red, black or brown, as you look at those, it starts to see where staffing levels in comparison to our city, where we fall. I think it's important to look at that slide for Cibolo when you look at our officers that we have there in comparison to Schertz and Seguin and even Converts, that we have some probably improvements we can do there to help us to meet the call demand based on not only our population size, but on the calls that we're seeing coming through. I want to kind of quickly talk about good to great, right? This is something that I talked about with this council when I came in and applied for this job. What is that goal? The goal is to take the department from good to great, because we have a very good department, and I know that we have leaders in the department that help us to be great. I think geographic policing allows us to do that. It allows us to provide a tailored services to our city and continue to do that by assigning officers geographically. I believe that when we look at divesting in leadership, when you look at employees, that is going to be important. As a young police department, we recognize the need to continue to develop. Creating programs for developing wellness programs, right? Law enforcement as a whole, it is important for us to make sure that when these officers enter this career, that they leave this career just as healthy. And then mentoring, right? Mentoring in our schools, programs that we'd like to provide, as well as building a strong and sustainable culture that we already have. How do we keep that going? And lastly, I'll talk about this as we transition to technology, because I think that is our greatest investment that'll help us to even address some of the areas that we may have when it comes to staffing. So as we go into this, one of the things I'll point out is that recently we met with a leader in the industry of automated license plate recognition. We call them ALPRs, right? See the mayor shaking his head. And we talk about camera detection. I think many of our council members have seen from cameras in our community, it has led to intelligence in us identifying vehicles. In that presentation, what we found was that they gave us 3 options, and you see it in front of you, of what it would cost to implement a 2-year agreement. Most of the cost obviously comes with the technology, the implementation of it and install, right? But you'll see what the annual cost is. The other part of this, I think that we want you to know, is that we're also going to be looking at and considering other companies that that work in this industry and looking at the automated license plate recognition. And so myself, as well as my boss, Executive Director Huggins, and our staff is also wanting to provide mayor and council with the most comprehensive package we can that would benefit our community. But this is definitely what I will say to you. You see the sergeant in here. We had a call last night where technology again gave us some leads. So I would hope that that is something we can look at in our community. As you look at this, these are cameras strategically placed out from option 1 to option 3, right? Where we, in option 1, we would pretty much cover a lot of our major thoroughfares for the entry and exit routes. The next thing I'll talk a little bit about is our record management system. I know that this has come up in council. Our current record management system, I will just tell you, it is limited. Based on my experience as an executive and where we're at, our system does not allow us to integrate with our CAD system, which creates extra workflow for our officers. We lack the ability to audit the system through dispatch. We're unable to go paperless with this system. I'll tell you, it's not integrated with the state of Texas crash system, which is our, where we do our accident investigations. It's not integrated with Brazos, right? But more importantly, this system is 20 years old and it lacks enhancements, right? It is not going to give us much more to try to invest in it. Additionally, I would tell you it's more manually based and not cloud-based from what we've looked at with other areas. So let's flip to where we want to be, a new RMS system, right? And what are the capabilities that gives us? It gives our police officers an opportunity to have real-time crime information, right? It would allow us to integrate with other municipalities so that we're sharing crime data, more importantly, and that we all can see, which allows us to have that model where we are policing the region. It also affords us the opportunity to be mobile, right? For our officers to be able to access that call data, complete reports in the field, submit those reports while they're in the field. It will allow us the opportunity here also to create dashboards that are going to be important for the police department, while also looking at, I will tell you, it's also going to attract new talent. As we create these opportunities through technology, it helps us to be an attractive tool to the police department. I will tell you that we have done some research, and I have spoken to some municipalities regionally that are now going into a new RMS system. Currently, right now, the city of Schertz I think that's had their deal, I believe, approved through their mayor and council. If not, I know it's coming. The implementation cost for them going with Tyler Technology is $750,000. Obviously, it's the upcomp, it's the implementation of what we get through the products, the training that comes along with that, right, and the software. Their annual cost will be about $150,000. Universal City, I'll quantify with them.
Chief, can I just ask a quick
yes,
question
sir.
on that?
Yes, sir.
That's based on, I assume, the number of vehicles they have. So that's a scaled version, or is that like a flat rate? If you got 2 cars, it's still 750 grand.
Yeah, it's scaled for the amount of people in their police department. So that's how they have it scaled. Just not the vehicles, because obviously the cars will be assigned to that. But yes, the computers are assigned the car, but it's scaled pretty much on a model based on the staffing numbers they have with the department.
Have we looked at, I mean, you got 3 different technologies.
Sure.
I don't know the A from B, but these are, I assume, then all scalable.
They
to
are.
some
Absolutely,
level.
sir. They all
And
would
have we
be.
looked at what their base is and given it, can you get, not tonight, but I mean, can you give us an idea of what it would cost us based on our current status of vehicles plus a fudge factor of new vehicle, new computer, new things coming? But can you give us something that more relates to our cost? Because I would assume shirts, based on the previous slide, had a whole lot more
Yes, sir.
need than we do right now.
Yep, and we definitely can get that for you, Councilman Benson. I think another thing for us, we will point out that there's also opportunities, and that's what I was pointing out with Universal City.
Right.
Live Oak, they bought into Live Oak, so the cost was a little bit less,
That
right?
was my next question.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
If one of these hits us right, can we work with somebody?
We could. We absolutely could.
Yeah, if I could get those numbers, it's a whole lot more helpful than
Sure.
looking at $250,000 and $150,000 annually, and I don't know what that means to Cibolo.
Yes,
I know
sir.
what that means to shirts, but I
Yes,
have no
sir.
idea what that means.
Absolutely.
Right. It's like maybe piggyback on the county, because it looks like the Guadalupe County Sheriff's Office already has, units out there in the county, and then just say, all right, why don't you put a few in Cibolo?
Well, they're just, Mayor, they're just integrating, because what we need to have to where we have our patrol officers, instead of sitting at they need to be able to type on their computer. So I guess my question would be, we don't have to get new laptops for that. We just need to update the software for it, correct?
No, it would cause us to have new laptops, new tough books. All of those things would be integrated with that software. It wouldn't be like we could take what we have, at least from right now. I'm not the tech person, Riley. I do have somebody on my staff that's had some previous experience with Lieutenant Wells. But it will cause us to upgrade our system, right?
Well,
So-
that's one thing that when
Yes, sir.
we've talked about this many a times. I'd much rather see our patrol officers out at HEB parking lot typing up a report of an accident that just happened in front of HEB or somewhere, or a call, instead of having to come all the way back here, because county has for years and years and years, if they're on this side of the county or on the east side of county, they have to drive all the way back to the sheriff's station to type up that report. That's ridiculous. It's the cost in gas. I mean, more oil changes because they're having to drive back and forth. I mean, there's so much that goes into this that we need to look at that.
Hey, Councilman
Right.
Hicks, you
So-
all are right. That's why you see Guadalupe County now going to 365 labs. That's going to
Yeah.
give them those capabilities.
It's
So
just-
I would say this, that is exactly what the police department wants. We want to have the capability and the software to be able to do as much as we can in the field, be efficient, and be out there in the public. And that's what this, I think, would help.
Okay, time check. It's 11:46. So I don't know if it's been 15 minutes or not, but Councilwoman Cunningham has a quick question.
Yeah.
So it's not really a question, it's just more of a comment. So this is a lot of money for positions, for equipment, and for the license plate readers, which I guess falls under equipment and the record system. Our budget starts in May, June, July-ish is when we start doing it. But we're moving into quarter 2 in January. I don't know that this is something we can purchase right now, but since it is such a big amount of money, it would be really helpful to get a better idea, better, clearer grasp on exactly how much it's going to be, which system you want, how much it's going to be annually, so we can start looking at the budget for that, because that's something that I think it's important. We want our officers to have as much we want them to have what they need. You can't do your job well if you don't have the tools to do your job. So we do want that, but we need to just have more information. I know this is just like a, hey, this is what we'd like to do, but next time you come to us, whenever you come to us,
Soon.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Because we want to
Soon.
start looking at that, and then I know Michelle's going to do a grant presentation tonight or next time, I don't know.
Yeah, it won't be tonight.
But that's something that we can start prioritizing as well.
Well, I will tell you, we're going to look, in the interest of time, that was the feedback that we asked back for council. You just answered some of it. What are the next steps that council would direct us to
Right.
do?
I'd say in another quarter, come back, and then
will
and then we can prepare
absolutely-
for the budget.
Councilman Mahoney
season.
has a question.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Mahoney?
Just a question or two, and maybe you said this, and I want to just get it reiterated. There were two studies in your slide presentation that I think predicted that we ought to have around 30 patrol officers
Sir.
right now, and we're not there yet.
We got 44.
No, sir. We're at about 20 officers now in patrol. We have 5 districts in the city.
Okay.
That would allow us to make sure we have an officer assigned to each district. It would give us the ability to with that number, to get a traffic officer to help with some of the
Okay,
things that we've been
let me-
tasked with.
Let me jump ahead. I've got a couple
Yes, sir.
quick points to make.
Bless you.
You also said that, something I wrote down here, that some calls might be requiring more than one officer to go to them. And as you know, I've got some experience in
Yes,
these
sir.
things. Has this police department been responding to disturbance calls with just one officer going?
No, sir. We're fortunate in the fact that we have a working relationship with Shirts, right? Obviously, they're getting busy, so we get some assistance.
And another one of those you mentioned was emergency detentions.
Absolutely.
I don't know that it's common language among everybody who has not been in law enforcement, but there you're talking about somebody, a situation where there's at least one individual in severe mental distress, right?
And the recommendation on that is 2 officers and a supervisor.
Well, and so I guess I'm just saying, from my hope for the safety of our officers and the public, that we always have 2 people to go to those things.
Absolutely.
Now, there's a correlation there. There's an association I'm trying to make between having that number of officers on the staff and handling business in a safe manner. And I can explain that in more detail if I have more time another time. I'll just leave it at that.
Appreciate it. Well, what I will say, and I can assure this council, we have some of the best supervisors, all right, in law enforcement. We will not sacrifice safety. We never will, right? We will do things safe. But at the end of the day, obviously, we have the business of the city to contend with. So I will just go back to your questions. Obviously, I have direction from mayor and council. I guess we'll continue to look at the staffing model. If I would ask you for direction on that, I will certainly take back the record management system and the automated license plate recognition system and give you some better numbers that fit our department after we do some additional research.
Since it's nearly midnight, I just got one thing to say, I promise. When you're looking at staffing models, will you do me a favor?
Yes.
And look at, and this is going to be controversial, but I can say it at 10 to 12. Look at removing the SROs as SEO CISD employees and using them for the 9 months and let them handle that and look at what that would do to our models. If that required, I look at those SROs and I say, well, there's 4 of them right now on staff. We can only get 9 months at a time from SCU CISD. So one of those officers basically we're paying for the year, right? Because for 3 months each officer is not being covered by them, it's being covered by us. I would like to see more patrol and let it, Shirt, Cibolo, or any school district, deal with their own police force, pardon me. And turn our city police force into actually the city, not in the city. I understand there's some benefits to that, but I'm just asking you for what.
We'll take a look.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Benson. All right. So have you got the action items you needed from us?
Yes.
Okay.
We got the idea, direction that you need from you. Look, I want to thank you for your time. We will come back and we'll deliver on those questions that you had.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Great presentation. All right. So I think what we did is, we tried to pack, two December meetings into one agenda. And so ambitious, absolutely. I think we covered 90% of it. So I'd like to call for motions to table E, I, and K, and we can pick those up in January. Do I hear a motion to table E?
So moved.
We got to do one at a time. Can we do all three at once, Frank, or do we have to do them individually? Okay. All right. So we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Hearing none. Motion, E, I, and K are tabled to first meeting in January. We're going to move on to M, discussion from council members that have attended seminars, events, or meetings. Anybody want to talk about that?
I just have one thing to say. I promise I'll keep it short. So on Saturday after the parade, one of the local ranchers that backs up to several of our neighborhoods has reached out to me over Thanksgiving. They got a letter from Code about their grass being too tall. One of the neighborhood residents was complaining about the grass. They're a working ranch with cows and donkeys and all that, and they needed to mow along the fence. So they've been dealing with a lot of illegal dumping from the residents in those neighborhoods. So on Saturday, I arranged a cleanup of the fence line. We were out there for about 5 hours. There were about 10 of us. We got most of it cleaned, probably 90% of this. We got all of Stonebrook and most of Cibolo Valley Ranch cleaned out. The amount of stuff that was there was alarming. So I am going to be sending an email to follow up with Code about that and to see what we can do about that. There were 2 full trees that still had the T-posts attached from like when you have a baby tree and you have the T-post. It was thrown over the fence. The pile of concrete was probably up to my waist and big from people doing fences and just dumping their concrete. Beer bottles, open and closed, liquor bottles. Lots of people putting in gates to their back fence to access the ranch property when they don't have permission to do that. Hoses that were draining directly from residents onto the ranch, like under the fence. So lots and lots of problems. And if we need to support these ranchers who live here, who have everything encroaching in on them. Yes, the neighborhoods can complain about the grass being too tall, but if we hadn't have helped with that cleanup, they said that would have taken them at least 2 weeks to do by themselves. And that's not okay. We have to start enforcing the illegal dumping. So I told the Carmeans, and I talked with Mr. Reed about it, I told them just to take a picture after they were done mowing and start reporting. Every time something's dumped, to start reporting it. And so I'm sure we're going to have an increase in that just from them, the amount of reports. But it's causing these people who've been here over 100 years, it's their family's land, to talk about leaving. Everyone always complains, oh, we love Cibolo, it's the country, we moved out here to have the country. We don't want any more development. Well, you know how you keep the green space? You make it so that people who own the green space want to stay. They're not leaving because they're greedy and they want money. They're leaving because it becomes so inhospitable for them and so much of a pain to do 2 weeks worth of work just to mow because someone was complaining about the long grass when they had dumped the crap there to prevent you from mowing in the first place. So I wanted to throw that out there. That's something I'm going to bring up again about Code and about how these ranches that are starting to become surrounded, how our systems are affecting them. There's also a piece of city-owned property that runs along one of their fences that needs to be mowed. So the city wrote the Carmeans a code compliance letter for not mowing, but the city's property is not mowed, and so they can't repair their fence there because the city's portion. And I can send y'all a map of where they said it was. But I just wanted to throw that out there. They also are willing, and I'm sure there's other ranchers out there that are willing for this, but if there are kids who need hours, service hours, they are willing to have them come out there. They're a registered business, and they can sign off on service hours if anyone needs it for anything. So
thank you, Katie. All right. Next up is N, discussion on items the city council would like to see on future agendas. Do we just want to email them to Peggy like we normally do? Okay, let's just email them to Peggy. O, discussion action on the review and confirmation of all upcoming special meetings and workshops and scheduling the time, date, and place of additional special meetings or workshops. Peggy Simics. Thank you, Peggy. All right. Okay. Do I hear a motion on 16? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. We are adjourned.